The letter arrived on a Tuesday, its edges yellowed, the ink smudged like it had been written in a storm. Jaden Cole, 24, stood frozen in his cramped Oakland apartment, staring at the words, "Your father is dead." His heart clawed at his chest, refusing to believe what his eyes demanded he accept. He hadn't seen his father, Marcus, in 15 years, not since the night his mother dragged him out of their Atlanta home, screaming that Marcus was a disgrace. Jaden was 9 then, too young to understand why his father's love for another man tore their family apart. Now, holding the letter from some faceless lawyer in Georgia, Jaden felt the weight of those lost years crash into him. Dead? No, not like this. Not without answers. Jaden's fingers trembled as he dialed his mother's number. She picked up on the third ring, her voice sharp as ever. "Jaden, I'm at work." "What is it?" "They said Dad's dead," he said, his voice breaking. "A letter came. From Atlanta. Did you know?" Silence. Then a cold. "He's been dead to me for years. You should let him go too." She hung up. Jaden sank onto his couch, the letter crumpling in his fist. His mother's words echoed the cruelty of his childhood. Neighbors whispering, church sermons condemning, his own relatives erasing Marcus like he never existed. They declared him dead long before this letter, not because he was gone, but because he was gay. Jaden had spent years piecing together fragments of his father's life. A photo of Marcus laughing at a pride parade, a postcard from San Francisco with no return address, a rumor he'd started over somewhere out west. Dead? Jaden didn't buy it. Not until he saw proof. He booked a flight to San Francisco that night. If Marcus was alive, that's where he'd be. The city's rainbow flags and open hearts had called to his father years ago. Jaden packed light. A backpack, the letter, and a faded Polaroid of Marcus holding him as a toddler, both of them grinning under a Georgia sun. He didn't know what he'd find, but he'd search every street, every bar, every corner of that city until he knew the truth. San Francisco greeted him with a burst of color and chaos. It was June, Pride Month, and the Castro district thrummed with life. Rainbow banners swayed above packed sidewalks, drag queens strutted past food trucks, and music spilled from every open door. Jaden felt like an outsider, clutching his backpack as he wandered through the crowd. He didn't know where to start. The letter had mentioned a last known address in the Mission District, but it was a decade old. Still, it was all he had. He found the address, a rundown apartment building with peeling paint and a locked gate. No one answered the buzzer labeled him Cole. Jaden lingered, scanning the street, when a voice broke through the noise. "You lost, man." Jaden turned to see a guy about his age, leaning against a lamppost, tuning a guitar. He had warm brown skin, a mess of curly hair, and a smile that felt like it could disarm a bomb. "I'm looking for someone," Jaden said, hesitant. "Marcus Cole. Lived here years ago." The guy raised an eyebrow. "Long shot, but this is the Castro. People like to disappear here and reappear. Name's Elias, by the way." He stuck out a hand, and Jaden shook it, caught off guard by the warmth in Elias's eyes. "I'm Jaden. It's my dad. I got a letter saying he's dead, but I don't believe it." The words spilled out before he could stop them. Elias's smile faded, replaced by something softer, like he understood loss too well. "San Francisco's got a way of hiding people," Elias said, "but it's also got a way of bringing them back. Stick around, Jaden. I'll help you look." Jaden didn't know why he trusted Elias, a stranger with a guitar and a grin, but something in his gut said this was the start of something bigger. They spent the afternoon weaving through the Castro, Elias asking questions Jaden hadn't dared to voice. "What's your dad like?" Elias asked as they grabbed coffee at a crowded cafe. Jaden hesitated, the Polaroid burning a hole in his pocket. "He was kind, always laughing. He'd play jazz records and dance with me on his shoulders. Then he was gone. Mom said he chose that life over us. I didn't understand until I was older." Elias nodded, his eyes steady. "Sounds like he loved you. People don't just vanish without a reason. Maybe he was protecting you." The words hit Jaden like a punch. Protecting him? From what? The shame his mother weaponized? The family that turned their backs? He wanted to believe it, but the letter in his bag screamed otherwise. That night, they hit a bar Elias knew, a dive called the Haven where old-timers swapped stories over cheap beer. Elias worked the room like a pro, charming a bartender into digging through old photos pinned to a corkboard. Jaden's heart stopped when they found one. Marcus, younger, arm around a man with a bright smile, both holding rainbow flags. The date on the back read 2010. He was alive then. Jaden's hope flared, but so did his questions. Why hadn't Marcus reached out? What happened? As they left the bar, Elias clapped a hand on Jaden's shoulder. We're just getting started, man. Tomorrow, we hit the shelters, the community centers. If he's here, we'll find him. Jaden nodded, but the weight of the unknown pressed harder. The city was alive with love and freedom, but it felt like a labyrinth hiding his father's truth. He didn't know if Marcus was running from him, or if someone else had made him disappear. The morning sun cut through San Francisco's fog, casting long shadows as Jaden and Elias trekked to a community center in the Tenderloin. Jaden clutched the Polaroid, his only tether to Marcus, while Elias hummed a tune, his guitar slung over his shoulder. The city felt different today, grittier, less like a postcard and more like a puzzle with missing pieces. The community center was a bustle of voices and hope, a haven for those the world had pushed aside. Jaden scanned the room, half expecting to see Marcus behind the counter, serving coffee or sitting quietly in a corner. Instead, he found sympathetic eyes and shrugs when he showed the photo. Haven't seen him, said a volunteer named Rosa, her voice kind but firm. But people come and go. Try the shelters on Polk Street. Elias nudged Jaden. Don't lose hope. Rosa's right. Folks drift. We'll keep digging. His optimism was infectious, but Jaden's chest tightened. Every dead, and felt like losing Marcus all over again. They spent the day moving from shelter to shelter. Jaden's questions met with blank stares or vague memories. One man, weathered and missing a front tooth, squinted at the photo and muttered, might have seen him at St. Anthony's a few years back. Good guy kept to himself. It wasn't much, but it was enough to keep Jaden moving. By afternoon, they sat on a bench in Dolores Park, the city sprawling below them. Elias strummed his guitar, drawing a small crowd, but Jaden barely noticed. His mind was stuck on the letter, its cold finality. Your father is dead. Why would someone send that? Who would gain from it? You're quiet, Elias said, setting his guitar down. Talk to me. Jaden exhaled, the words heavy. What if he doesn't want to be found? What if he left me behind on purpose? The question had haunted him since he was 9, watching his mother burn Marcus's clothes in the backyard. Elias leaned closer, his voice low. My dad walked out when I came out at 16. Said I was a sin. I spent years thinking it was my fault. But sometimes people leave because they're fighting their own battles, not because they don't love you. Jaden looked at him, really looked, and saw the same ache he carried. Elias wasn't just helping out of kindness. He understood. You're out here busking, living free, Jaden said. How'd you get past it? Elias grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. Still working on that. Music helps. So does helping someone like you. He stood, slinging his guitar over his shoulder. Come on. St. Anthony's isn't far. The shelter was crowded, the air thick with the smell of soup and sweat. Jaden showed the photo to a caseworker, who frowned. Marcus Cole? Name rings a bell. He used to volunteer here, maybe 5 years ago. Stopped coming suddenly. Heard he got mixed up with some bad folks. Jaden's stomach dropped. Bad folks? Like what? The caseworker shrugged. Debt, maybe. Or worse. This city's got its claws. She handed him a flyer for a support group for families of missing persons. Try this. They might know more. That night, Jaden and Elias attended the support group in a church basement. People shared stories of loved ones lost to addiction, violence, or just the city's chaos. Jaden stood, holding the Polaroid, and told Marcus's story, his love, his exile, the letter. A woman in the back, her face lined with grief, approached him after. I knew a Marcus, she said. He helped my son get clean. Said he had a boy he'd do anything for. Then he vanished. I heard he owed money to some guys in Oakland. Jaden's pulse raced. A lead, finally. But the word owed hung heavy. Was Marcus running from debt? From danger? He thanked the woman, his resolve hardening. Elias, watching him, said, "We're getting closer, Jaden. I can feel it." As they left the church, the city lights flickered like stars. Jaden felt Elias's hand brush his, a fleeting warmth that made his heart stutter. He pulled away, not ready to name the spark between them. Not yet. Marcus was out there, and Jaden would find him, no matter what secrets the city held. Jaden woke to the sound of Elias's guitar, soft chords floating through the hostel room they'd crashed in. The melody was mournful, mirroring the ache in Jaden's chest. Today, they'd chased the lead from the support group, Marcus and the guys in Oakland. They took a BART train across the bay, the city's glitter giving way to Oakland's raw edges. Jaden clutched the Polaroid, his thumb tracing Marcus's smile. Elias noticed. "You look like him, you know. Same eyes." Jaden managed a half-smile. "Mom used to say that," before she stopped talking about him. He paused, then added, "Thanks for sticking with me, Elias." "You don't have to." Elias shrugged, his grin easy. "Got nowhere better to be. Besides, you're not bad company." His tone was light, but his gaze lingered, and Jaden felt that spark again, warmer now, dangerous in its pull. In Oakland, they started at a bar the support group woman had mentioned, a place called the Rusty Anchor. It was a dive, all dim lights and sticky floors. Jaden showed Marcus's photo to the bartender, a burly man with a scar across his cheek. "Yeah, I knew Marcus," he said, wiping a glass. "Good guy, bad choices. Got in deep with a lone shark named Vince. Disappeared after a fight, maybe 3 years ago." Jaden's heart sank. "Disappeared how?" "Dead." The bartender shook his head. "Nah, just gone. Vince don't usually kill folks. He breaks him. Marcus probably skipped town." He scribbled an address on a napkin. "Vince hangs out here. Be careful." Jaden and Elias found the address, a warehouse in West Oakland, all rusted metal and broken windows. The place screamed trouble, but Jaden didn't care. If Vince knew where Marcus was, he'd face him. Elias grabbed his arm. "You sure about this? Guys like Vince don't play nice." "I'm sure," Jaden said, his voice steel. "He's my dad." Inside, the warehouse was a maze of crates and shadows. A man in a leather jacket, Vince, Jaden assumed, stood with 2 others, laughing over a card game. Jaden approached, holding up the Polaroid. "I'm looking for Marcus Cole. You know him?" Vince's eyes narrowed, sizing Jaden up. "Who's asking?" "His son." Jaden's voice didn't waver, though his pulse did. "I heard he owed you money." Vince smirked. "Marcus?" "Yeah, he owed me plenty. Got in over his head betting on fights. Said he was saving for his kid." He nodded at Jaden. "Guess that's you." "He paid up, though." "Barely." Then he split. "Paid how?" Jaden pressed. Vince leaned closer, his breath sour. "Odd jobs. Deliveries. Nothing you want to know about. Last I heard, he was laying low in the hate. Try the soup kitchens." Jaden's mind raced. Marcus had been working for this creep. To protect him? The thought made his chest ache. He turned to leave, but Vince called after him. "You look like him, kid. Hope you're smarter." Outside, Elias exhaled. "That was intense. You okay?" Jaden nodded, but he wasn't. The idea of Marcus tangled in this world, fighting to survive, hurt more than the letter ever could. "He was trying to take care of me," Jaden said, voice thick. "All this time." Elias squeezed his shoulder. "He's out there, Jaden. We'll find him." They headed to the Haight, a neighborhood alive with murals and street vendors. At a soup kitchen, a volunteer recognized Marcus's photo. "He was here last year," she said. "Quiet guy, always helping. Said he had a son he missed every day." She paused. "He stopped coming after he got sick. Maybe check the clinics." "Sick." The word hit Jaden like a brick. He thanked the volunteer, his mind spinning. Was Marcus still alive? Was he hiding because he was ashamed, or because he was protecting Jaden from something worse? As they left, Elias's hand found Jaden's again, this time lingering. Jaden didn't pull away. The clinic in the Haight was a squat building with faded posters about free testing and harm reduction. Jaden's stomach churned as he and Elias stepped inside, the air thick with antiseptic and quiet desperation. The volunteer's words, "He got sick," looped in his mind, each repetition tightening the knot in his chest. The receptionist, a woman with kind eyes and a name tag reading Clara, took the Polaroid. Her face softened. "Marcus. Yeah, he was a regular here for a while. HIV positive, but he was managing it. Stopped coming maybe 6 months ago." She hesitated. "He talked about his son a lot. Said he didn't deserve to see you after everything." Jaden's throat closed. "Did he say where he went?" Clara shook her head. "He was staying at a shelter on Haight Street, but he was paranoid, like someone was after him. Try there." Elias put a hand on Jaden's back, steadying him. "You're close, man. Don't give up." The shelter was a few blocks away, a weathered building with a line of people waiting for beds. Jaden showed Marcus's photo to the manager, who frowned. He was here, but he left in a hurry. Said something about fixing things for his kid. Check the park. Some folks camp out there. Golden Gate Park stretched endlessly, a maze of trees and paths. Jaden and Elias split up, asking every person they saw about Marcus. Hours passed, the sun dipping low, until a man in a tattered jacket pointed them to a clearing. Guy like that might be with the encampment by the Arboretum. They found the encampment at dusk, a cluster of tents and tarps. Jaden's heart pounded as he showed the photo around. A woman with braided hair nodded slowly. "Marcus. He was here a few months back. Good man, always sharing his food. Said he was heading to Sacramento to make things right." Sacramento. Jaden's hope surged, but so did his fear. What was Marcus running from? And why Sacramento? Elias, sensing his spiral, pulled him aside. "We'll go to Sacramento. Together." "Okay." Jaden looked at Elias, his steady presence a lifeline. "Why are you doing this? You barely know me." Elias's smile was soft, vulnerable. "Because I see you, and because I know what it's like to need someone to believe in you." He paused, then added, "Plus, I kind of like you." Jaden's breath caught. He hadn't let himself name the warmth blooming between them, but Elias's words cracked something open. "I like you too," he admitted, the words foreign but true. They stood there, the park quiet around them, the weight of the moment heavier than the search itself. They caught a late bus to Sacramento, the city's lights blurring past. Jaden leaned against Elias, exhaustion and hope warring in his chest. In Sacramento, they started at a homeless outreach center, where a worker recognized Marcus's photo. "He was here, helping with our youth program. Left a month ago, said he was heading to a friend's place in Davis." Davis was a small college town, a short train ride away. Jaden's heart raced as they arrived, the quiet streets a stark contrast to San Francisco's chaos. At a coffee shop, a barista overheard them asking about Marcus and chimed in. "He was staying with my uncle, Tom, on Elm Street. Nice guy, but he looked rough, like he'd been through hell." Jaden's pulse thundered. They were so close. Elm Street was a row of modest houses, and Tom's was at the end, a bungalow with a sagging porch. Jaden knocked, his hands shaking. The door opened, and a man in his 60s peered out. "You Jaden?" he asked, his voice gruff but kind. Jaden nodded, unable to speak. Tom stepped aside, revealing a figure in the living room. Marcus. Older, thinner, his hair graying, but unmistakably him. Jaden's knees buckled. "Dad." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "Jaden," he whispered, stepping forward. They collided in a hug, years of pain and love pouring out in silence. Marcus's embrace was frail but fierce, like he was afraid Jaden might vanish. The living room smelled of coffee and old books, a stark contrast to the chaos of Jaden's search. Elias stood by the door, giving them space, his eyes soft with relief. "Jaden," Marcus said again, his voice cracking. "I never thought I'd see you." He pulled back, studying Jaden's face. "You're so grown. Why didn't you come back?" Jaden asked, the question sharp with years of hurt. "Why let me think you were gone?" Marcus sank into a chair, his hands trembling. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But after your mom threw me out, I was a mess. Ashamed. Broke. I came out here to start over, but I fell into debt. Bad people. I thought staying away kept you safe. Safe. Jaden's voice rose. I needed you. Mom said you were dead to her. Then that letter came, saying you were actually dead. Who sent it? Marcus's face darkened. Your uncle, probably. Your mom's brother, Carl. He hated me, hated what I am. He tracked me down years ago, threatened to drag me back to Atlanta if I didn't stay away from you. I think he sent that letter to keep you from looking. Jaden's fists clenched. Carl, the man who'd called Marcus a sin at family dinners. The pieces clicked. Carl's cruelty, the family silence, the letter's lies. I'm not a kid anymore, Jaden said. He doesn't get to decide this. Marcus nodded, tears falling. I'm so sorry, Jaden. I thought I was protecting you. I was wrong. Elias stepped forward, breaking the tension. You're together now. That's what matters. He looked at Jaden, his smile grounding him. Right. Jaden nodded, but the anger and grief still churned. He wanted to hate Marcus for leaving, but the man in front of him was broken, not by choice, but by a world that punished his love. Tell me everything, Jaden said. No more secrets. Over coffee, Marcus poured out his story. He'd come to San Francisco seeking freedom, found love with a man named Leo, then lost him to illness. Debt followed, then Vince, the loan shark. Marcus worked dangerous jobs to pay it off, all while sending money to Jaden's mother anonymously, hoping it would help. When he got sick, he hid, ashamed of his failures. I didn't want you to see me like this, he said. Jaden's heart ached. I just wanted you, Dad, not some perfect version. They talked through the night, rebuilding a bridge burned by years and lies. Elias listened, his presence steady, and Jaden felt the spark between them grow. When Marcus mentioned needing to get back to the clinic, Jaden made a decision. You're coming home with me, he said. To Oakland. We'll figure it out. Marcus hesitated. I don't want to be a burden. You're not, Jaden said fiercely. You're my dad. The next morning, they planned the move. Tom offered to help, and Elias volunteered to drive them back to Oakland. As they packed Marcus's few belongings, Jaden noticed a photo on the table. Him, as a toddler, the same one he carried. You kept it, Jaden said, voice thick. Always, Marcus replied. You were my reason to keep going. In the car, Elias played soft music, his hand brushing Jaden's as he shifted gears. Jaden didn't pull away this time. The road to Oakland felt like a new beginning, but questions lingered. Carl's letter was a shadow, a reminder that not everyone would welcome Marcus home. Jaden vowed to protect his father, no matter what came next. Back in Oakland, Jaden's apartment felt smaller with Marcus there, but it was home. Marcus settled into the spare room, his few possessions dwarfed by the space. Jaden watched him unpack, a mix of relief and fear in his chest. He'd found his father, but the letters lying gnawed at him. Carl was still out there, and Jaden wasn't done with him. Elias stayed close, helping with groceries and doctor's appointments. His presence was a quiet strength, and Jaden found himself leaning into it. One evening, as they cooked dinner, Elias bumped Jaden's shoulder playfully. You're a good son, you know that. Jaden blushed. I'm just doing what's right. He paused, then added, I'm glad you're here. Elias's eyes softened. Me too. Their fingers brushed over a cutting board, and this time, Jaden didn't pull away. The moment stretched, electric, until Marcus called from the living room, breaking the spell. Marcus was improving, his meds kicking in, but he was still fragile. Jaden noticed how he flinched at loud noises, how he checked the locks twice at night. You're safe now, Jaden told him one morning, but Marcus's eyes said he didn't believe it. The truth came out a week later. Jaden found a new letter in the mailbox, no return address, just like the first. Inside, a single line, you should have stayed gone, Marcus. Jaden's blood ran cold. He showed it to Marcus, whose face paled. It's Carl, he said. He found me again. Jaden's anger boiled over. I'm calling him. This ends now. He dug up Carl's number from an old family contact list and dialed, his hands shaking. Carl answered, his voice smug. Jaden, heard you found your dad. Bad move. Why'd you lie? Jaden demanded. Why send that letter saying he was dead? Carl laughed, cold and sharp. He's a disgrace. Always was. I did you a favor, keeping him out of your life. You don't get to decide that, Jaden snapped. He's my father, and he's home now. You'll regret this, Carl said, then hung up. Jaden told Elias everything, his voice shaking with rage. Elias listened, then said, We need to protect Marcus. Carl sounds unhinged. They installed a security camera and warned the neighbors to watch for strangers. Marcus, shaken, told Jaden more about Carl's threats over the years, letters, calls, even showing up in San Francisco once. He wanted me erased, Marcus said, for being who I am. Jaden's resolve hardened. He contacted a lawyer friend from college who suggested a restraining order. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Meanwhile, Elias took Marcus to a local LGBTQ support group, where he began to open up, finding community again. Jaden watched his father smile for the first time in days, and it felt like a victory. That night, alone in the kitchen, Elias kissed Jaden. It was soft, tentative, but it lit Jaden up inside. Is this okay? Elias asked, pulling back. More than okay, Jaden said, kissing him back. The world felt lighter, even with Carl's shadow looming. Jaden had his father, and now, maybe, something more with Elias. But he knew the fight wasn't over. Carl wasn't the kind to back down, and Jaden would be ready. The restraining order came through, but Jaden knew paper wouldn't stop Carl. He kept the security camera on, checked the locks, and made sure Marcus never went out alone. Elias was there every step, his music filling the apartment, his presence a steady anchor. Jaden and Elias were careful, keeping their new relationship quiet, but Marcus noticed. He's good for you, he said one morning, a knowing smile on his face. Jaden blushed. Yeah, he is. Life settled into a fragile rhythm. Marcus started volunteering at a local shelter, his strength returning. Jaden found a job at a community center, inspired by his father's resilience. Elias buskied nearby, his guitar drawing crowds, and Jaden often joined him, their laughter mingling with the music. But Carl's shadow lingered. One night, Jaden woke to a crash. The security camera caught a figure smashing a window before running off. Marcus, pale, recognized the jacket Carl. Jaden called the police, who promised to investigate, but Carl was gone by morning. The message was clear. He wasn't done. Jaden decided to confront Carl in Atlanta. Elias insisted on coming, and Marcus, though terrified, agreed it was time to face the past. They flew out, the tension thick. In Atlanta, Jaden found Carl at his old church, the same one that had condemned Marcus years ago. Carl stood in the parking lot, his face twisted with anger. You brought him back, Carl spat. After everything he did to this family. He didn't do anything, Jaden said, stepping closer. You did. You lied, threatened him, tried to erase him. What? Carl's eyes burned. He's an abomination. I was protecting you. No, Jaden said, voice steady. You were protecting your hate. He's my father, and I love him. You don't get to take that from me. Elias stood beside Jaden, his presence a quiet strength. Marcus, trembling, spoke up. I'm not running anymore, Carl. I'm home. With my son. Carl lunged, but Elias stepped in, blocking him. The police, alerted by a neighbor, arrived and detained Carl. He screamed as they cuffed him, but Jaden felt only relief. The lawyer promised Carl's threats would land him in court, maybe jail. It wasn't justice for all the years lost, but it was a start. Back in Oakland, Jaden, Marcus, and Elias rebuilt their lives. Marcus joined a jazz band, his old passion reignited. Jaden and Elias moved in together, their love growing stronger each day. At Pride the next year, they marched together, Marcus holding a sign that read, I'm here. I'm home. Jaden walked beside him, Elias's hand in his, the city's colors wrapping them in hope. The letter that started it all sat framed on Jaden's wall, a reminder of the lies they'd overcome. They'd faced hate, fear, and loss, but love had brought them home. Jaden looked at his father, laughing with Elias over a shared joke, and knew this was the truth worth fighting for.